Hi there and welcome to One Seam Studio. Today's video will be a tutorial on how to draft your very own neckline facing. You will need bodice front and back pattern pieces and extra paper. Make sure that your pattern pieces have seam allowance included. We will be using the shoulder line, the neckline and the center front of the bodice pattern to draft the facing. Starting with the bodice front pattern piece, measure 3 inches along the shoulder line, starting from the neckline edge towards the armhole. Measure another 3 inches down the center front, starting from the neckline edge. Make sure that this 3 inches includes your seam allowance for both measurements. Place a scrap piece of paper underneath the bodice pattern, making sure that the piece of paper is big enough to trace your 3-inch width of the facing. Trace along the shoulder line, neckline and center front of the bodice pattern, starting and stopping at those 3-inch markings you made earlier. For this step, you may wish to use pins or pattern weights to stop your pattern pieces from moving around. I did sketch this in pencil, however, I'll redraw the lines in pen so you can see it better. Use the 3-inch marks along the center front and the shoulder line as a guide, and mark several points 3 inches out from the neckline curve. Connect these points using a curved ruler as I am in this example, or you can sketch these freehand. Cut out your pattern piece and make sure that it aligns perfectly with the bodice pattern. Place your newly drafted facing on top of your bodice pattern and transfer all pattern markings from your bodice pattern onto the facing pattern. Make sure that the seam allowance on the facing is the same as the seam allowance on the bodice pattern. Once completed, your facing should match up perfectly along the neckline of the bodice pattern. To draft the facing for the back neckline, use the back bodice pattern and repeat exactly the same steps you did for the front facing, making sure to transfer all markings from the back bodice pattern onto the facing pattern. That's it for today's tutorial. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.